Hello and welcome to a new episode of Other Record Labels. I'm your host, Scott Orr. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for listening. We have a new interview today with an awesome label from Sweden called Punk Slime. I know, a lot of the folks in the indie world are familiar with this label. You've probably seen their cool branding, which is like their name but without vowels, PNKSLM. We talk about that too in this episode. What a great label. So many cool releases, so prolific, so busy. They have such a great story, and it was such a good interview for me to learn from them and to hear about their story. I want to, again, and I know I say this on every episode, but I want to thank you for reaching out, all of the folks who have DM'd me on Instagram or emailed me, which you can do, podcast@otherrecordlabels.com. And if I haven't got back to you, I'm sorry, but thank you so much for the encouraging words, and I find it so inspiring to hear from folks like you who have been inspired from our previous interviews and our episodes that we've had, hearing from these labels and taking some of their experiences and applying them to your own label. If you are running a label or thinking about running a label, make sure you've gone to our website, otherrecordlabels.com. There are so many resources there, like our free guide, which has distilled a lot of the information in these episodes, as well as a checklist for if you're starting a record label. And there's some new incredible resources coming this fall that I'm really excited for you to see. Anyway, thank you again for listening, and I hope you enjoy this interview. Punk Slime, you guys go by like the abbreviation, or like, do you always just refer to yourself as Punk Slime?
Yeah, the abbreviation was probably a bad idea, actually.
Oh, I think it's great.
It's a good logo, but
yeah, it's great.
Everyone's say it wrong.
Yeah, like
really?
Every time we ever get like radio play or anything, we're always like super psyched, and then we're like, "Oh, and that's from the Pink Slim label."
That's a good name, though.
Slam and
that, you know what? Those are all great names. Pink Slime, Pink Slim, Punk Slam. Those are all fine. I think those are great. I think what's cool about taking the vowels out is it gets you, it's a shorter name, and it gets you all of like your .com is available and all those different things, which is kind of handy.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's good for a lot of things, just not people saying it right.
Yeah, that's true. Do you find it hard to reach America? Speaking of bad accents, do you think it's hard to reach America or to get America's attention? Do you even care? Is that something that's, I'm Canadian, so I feel, sometimes I feel like when it's easier for me to get Canadian press, but there's American press that's a little bit more coveted. How do you feel about American press and American audience coming from your perspective in Sweden?
Sure.
It's a bit of a weird question, because like when we were starting out, when the label started like going forward quickly, I guess.
Our growth was biggest in America.
Yeah, getting attention in America was probably the easiest part.
Wow.
Like, no one in Sweden, not no one, but like in Sweden, we had a much harder time getting coverage, like larger media or whatever.
I see.
In America, like it went a lot quicker, and we've always had a strong following from there.
Yeah, and I mean, press-wise, it's weird, because when we first started, the first few releases got Pitchfork.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be easy. But then it just got progressively worse since then.
Is there a level of intrigue because you guys are from Sweden? Do you think that because you're foreign to America that maybe there's a level there?
I think that was part of it. It started at least. It's like, oh, here's this like weird little label from a weird little country that no one knows anything about.
Especially coming after like a couple of years of Sweden, having a lot of like electronic pop, like synth pop stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those bands got a lot of coverage in America, and then we came sort of doing the complete opposite. So
right.
I guess.
And at the time there wasn't that much of this sort of stuff coming out of Sweden, I guess. or not on an international scale, at least.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's a good point when you're talking about like kind of grunge and lo-fi and punk. I do, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to think about Sweden, and I'm thinking of like electronic music and pop music. Is that pretty much like the cultural export when it comes to music from Sweden?
Yeah, I mean,
overall, yeah, 100%. I mean, there's obviously outliers, like bands like The Hives and Refused and stuff.
Sure.
Like, I mean, there is a history, but if you compare it, like, the number of like bands blowing up or like getting big, I think pop music and like metal are like the main.
Yes, right, that's true.
It's not even just the bands, though, is it? I mean, I can't remember the statistic. I should have done some more research before this, but correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't like the music industry, isn't like the third biggest export for Sweden? Something like that?
Absolutely no idea.
It's something ridiculous like that.
And there is like there's a big like,
songwriters and producers.
Yeah, like completely unrelated to what we do, but like Max Martin and like all these like big pop producers and like songwriters and stuff. And I mean, that's obviously making
K-pop, actually, that's a weird one. I just found that out a few months ago. Like a lot of like the big K-pop songs are coming out of studios in Stockholm.
Interesting. Yeah. Are there lots of labels like you in Sweden, or are you the exception?
There's not a lot.
Yeah, there's more than there was.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, there's a few, but yeah, no, it's not a lot of them.
Yeah. What's the population? Sorry, I'm quizzing you on all these things. You can make up a number. Nobody's going to check.
I'm so bad at numbers. Actually, I know.
Do you know? Let's see.
10 million?
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was always 9 million when I was growing up, but it's over 10 million. I don't know. It's like 10 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah. 500,000 of you.
Good. You've passed the test. Yeah.
I know that. I know that because it's population-wise, it's like the same as London, the whole country.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but then the country is obviously like 10 times bigger than the whole of England.
So is Spotify from Sweden?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's so strange.
Yeah, no, it was like, I guess streaming was massive here before it sort of got started anywhere else.
Wow.
Like, so Sweden's been like an almost entirely digital market for a long time now.
That's really cool. It's kind of unique. Are there Swedish versions of companies like Spotify or Apple Music where they give more opportunities to local artists and labels?
I mean, not really. I mean, Spotify is obviously Swedish, but they're like a massive global corporation now.
Yeah.
There was, like, before Tidal, there was a company called Wimp. They were like a Norwegian streaming service that, like, I guess JC bought them, basically, and changed the name. But they were doing a lot of that when they were starting out, like, before that. Just they were from here, so it didn't.
I mean, it's tricky though, isn't it? Because I mean, that market. I mean, literally, I think I'm the only person that I know of in the whole of Sweden that doesn't have a premium Spotify account.
I don't anymore. But yeah,
interesting.
Like pretty much everyone. Like, I mean, yeah.
And I mean, literally everyone, all the way from like my girlfriend's grandparents will have an account down to like kids. Like everyone has. Is there any
like national pride in that? Is it like, or is it just?
I think to a degree, yeah. It was just they were here so soon.
Yeah, I see.
I think definitely was like, especially at the start, and like 10 years ago. I mean, I've had a Spotify account for over 10 years.
Wow.
Like, I think they started like 2008 maybe, and at the start, definitely. Like now, I think people are more like used to it. Like it's just a thing you have. Like same as you got a broadband connection, you got a Spotify account.
Here, speaking of that, like from a national perspective, here in Canada, we have grants for the arts community and for the music community from the government. We have, like a public radio station that supports Canadian music, and we actually have laws against Canadian or to promote Canadian content, and quotas have to be met. Is there something like that in Sweden? Are they friendly to the arts?
I mean, definitely. On the grant side, definitely. There's a lot of grants you can apply for, and I mean, we've gotten a whole bunch of grants.
That's awesome.
Through that. On the radio side, I mean, we do have. Well, I guess if you're talking internationally, the equivalent of like the BBC.
Yeah,
But
right.
there's no quotas, and like, I mean, if you look at their playlist, I mean, they got special shows with it, like specialist shows where they play like our music and stuff. But overall, like the playlist is very like international, like major star dominated, and then like obviously like the local massive pop stars as well. But it's not. I don't think there's anything saying like they have to play a certain amount of like Swedish music or like from independent labels or anything like that.
Do you have any sort of pride in the fact that your label's from Sweden? Do you try to promote that, or do you feel any responsibility to the community or to the scene where you're at?
Yeah, I think so to a degree.
In a way, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely not shy about the fact, and we have Stockholm written on all the t-shirts.
Right. Cool.
I mean, I think it's still like a sell point to a certain degree. Probably not as much as it was at the start, but I mean, I do think it stands out like the way, but an international label based in Sweden.
Let's, as we kind of like branch out to I want to ask you more of a global question, but like if you look at any of the analytics that you're able to see, whether it's from Spotify numbers or your web visits or your sales where you're shipping things, where are the majority of your customers? Is it equally spread out? Is it mostly America, mostly Sweden?
I mean, at the start it was basically like 30% Sweden, 30% the UK, and 30% the US, and then the rest, like 10%, were all over the place. Sure. And I mean, I'm not sure now, but I think to like a certain degree that's still true. But then like the rest has grown a lot. So that's probably like 20-25%. That's from like mainly other parts of Europe, Australia, Japan, a little bit of Canada, I think. Yeah. But I mean, Sweden's a big market, but it's overall it's a small part of what we do, like numbers wise.
What is shipping like when you have to ship vinyl to America or even to the UK?
Dreadful.
Is it?
I mean, we think it's dreadful.
Yeah.
And people paying it think it's dreadful. Yeah. But it's really cheap.
What do you mean?
No, have you
cheaper than owning your own plane?
You're defending the Swedish postal system.
Yeah, no, I'm not joking. Like, if you try to order like internationally from like an American label, like the shipping costs are insane.
Yeah,
actually, that's true.
Okay,
I think ours is like, I mean, it's basically the same cost to send it in Sweden as it is to send it internationally. It's slightly more expensive, but it's like $10 to send a record to America.
$10 to ship a record to America?
Yeah,
that's really cheap.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh!
I've tried like ordering stuff, and then it's like, you buy a record for like $15 and shipping's like $45.
Absolutely.
So why are Americans always complaining to us then?
Not worked that part out.
Well, I'll tell you why.
I think I'm going to learn a lot from this guy as well.
I'll tell you why. It's because they can ship a record for like $3 domestically.
Oh, really?
I've been like in the checkout process on Bandcamp with a record, and it defaults to the U.S. and the shipping is like $3. I saw that just a couple days ago, $3 for a 12-inch. And then
I think that's mad. I think it's like $7.5, $8 to ship it in Sweden, like your 12-inch record.
Are you saying dollars, or is that?
Dollars. I never talk in Swedish krona when I'm talking to someone from Sweden, because no one knows.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. Well,
it's like 2 million krona.
I think the worst shipping that I've ever had was Sweden or possibly Switzerland. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was Sweden, and I think it was in the range of $50 for one 12-inch, and that was air. So that would have, but I'm pretty sure it was $50 Canadian, which is probably like 40 US.
That's
okay. Well, that's nice.
And I didn't realize that, so I had charged the fan, maybe $20 or for international shipping, and so I really ate it there. But Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, you can get a little bit cheaper, like maybe 20% cheaper if you go by boat. But then you're basically shipping a record, and it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to get there. So I feel bad, but you can save, quite a lot of money if you ship by boat.
Yeah, I didn't even know that existed anymore.
No, I mean, we don't even have that option. Like when we decide, it's just like basic shipping. Like you can't say if it's going by air or boat.
Okay.
Just, pay for shipping. But then, I mean, usually, like not now, but in normal circumstances, it takes like a week, 10 days tops to America.
But are you? I know that you guys have a distributor. Do fans in America have an opportunity to buy some of your catalog from someone else and not have to buy directly from you?
Yeah. I mean, that was a really big part of why we wanted to get the worldwide distribution set up. Because before we were doing it 100% ourselves from the office.
Yeah.
And I mean, people were still put off by the shipping prices, even though I now learn that's actually pretty cheap.
Well, people will complain about no matter what, but
yeah, definitely. So we were looking to get our main goal was to try and get American distribution, and then in fact, I think Red Eye came to us, didn't they?
Yeah, just before we started looking.
And they were interested in working with us, so we started working with them in, when was that,
2016.
16.
Jesus, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, and it's made things a lot easier, especially with America. Just because we know we can get the records in stores over there, we don't have to rely on people buying direct from us.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you guys are hitting you have hit a 10-year anniversary, is that right? Or
no, we
lost track.
Yeah, no, it's weird now because nothing's going on. But is this the 7th, 8th? It's 8 years this year, isn't it?
No, 6.
No, it's not. No, it's 7. two years ago, we did
Am I talking to the right people? Can you put someone else on the line?
Yeah.
No, what birthday party were we supposed to have this year? 6.
No, 7th. Because last year got cancelled. Because
okay.
Weird reason.
Well, we
missed one, so we should have had a 7th one this year. But obviously not.
Oh, okay, so what year did you guys start? That might be a good place to launch off from.
2013, I think I know that one.
2013 was the first 7-inch,
Oh, okay. So how did this all start? Because I know it started as a blog, is that right?
So it was originally just me. Is that you, Johan?
No, I'm not moving.
Okay.
That was me. My chair was rolling.
I'm terrified of moving after you said my mic was not good.
No, it sounds great.
I'm lost now. What's the question?
Sorry. Well, tell us the origins of the label. How did everything get started?
Oh, yeah, sure. At the start, it was me. It was when I was still living in London. I mean, the backstory is kind of long, but a brief summary. So a friend of mine got arrested in Sweden, actually, driving my old band on tour. And he was put in jail for a month. And then when we got out and we got back to London, we wanted to throw him like a release party. And me and some friends in London organised a show, and we got a bunch of bands to play, and it went really well. And then the venue came to us and said, "Oh, do you want to do this on a monthly basis?" So that was kind of the start of Punk Slime. It was called Punk Slime the night, and the name was taken. Me and that same group of friends in London had a small blog. I mean, we didn't really do much with it before that. And then, so I did the club over there. It was a monthly thing in London for probably a year or so before I ended up actually moving to Sweden.
And were you guys like, was it, these were shows like this in the same type of genre that the label is now? Is that right?
Yeah. It was all like underground rock and roll stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I didn't really make much money off it, but it continued and it was like growing. And then I moved to Sweden, and I got a job actually working for there's a label with an imprint on Universal.
Okay.
And I was working for the A&R guys, and so I was getting all the emails every day from all these terrible Swedish bands and having to go through them. And then, one day I got an email from this band that was submitted to the label. And I thought, actually, this is pretty good. So I went to see them live. This was Sadakistan, band from Stockholm that we still work with. It blew me away, the live shows. I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to work on Universal. It's way too noisy. Mm-hmm. But I'd always sort of had an idea in the back of my head to have like a small sort of label, just to do a few 7-inches as like a side project kind of thing. Okay. Then I did the Sadakistan 7-inch as the first release. That was 2013. I couldn't think of a name for a label, so I figured I'll just keep the name that we did Club Night in London from. And then that was like pretty successful for a band that no one's heard of. I mean, that was the one, like, we got Pitchfork straight away, and it sold out on pre-order like really fast. Wow. And then it kind of put me into this false sense of security. Like, this is pretty easy. I should do more of it.
That's right. Why was it so successful? Did they have like something building beforehand, or?
I mean, no, not particularly. In fact, no, they had zero international press before I sort of came along.
That's incredible.
But they're a really, really special band, and especially live. That was the thing. As soon as I started working with them, I just took them to England, got them touring England a few times, and then they did really well for like a press.
Maybe they should have
small band name.
Maybe they should have signed with Universal.
No, they wouldn't exist now if they did. 100%. So then I did a few more 7-inches after that. And then Johan, you came along somewhere around. You were buying the records.
I bought the two first 7-inches, basically, and then one of them was Sadakistan, and then I had a club night with a couple of friends, and we booked Sadakistan, and I guess we were DJing together a couple of times, because I mean most of everything going on in Stockholm at the time was like pop stuff, which I was pretty bored with. And then so I wanted to play other kinds of music, and I didn't know anyone else who cared about other kinds of music, I guess. And then I think I convinced Luke to let me do PR for free.
It took a long time as well.
Well, I mean, because I used to write about music, and then I just started maybe I should try to do PR instead, just because I might get paid. Yeah. So I convinced.
He came to me.
So right. And it took 3 months. So I think the first release I worked on was the Let's Big Bird EP, and that was February 2014. So that's a 6-year anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
But then it was a bit of there's still a few months where it was still sort of like a half-hearted side project kind of thing.
And were you running the label while still working at the other label?
At the time, yeah. Yeah. And in fact, somehow I roped Johan into a job there as well. I think. Briefly.
No, that was weird. Yeah. I mean, I was supposed to be like a PR consultant, and it didn't work out for a lot of good reasons. So we both sort of quit our jobs like that. Yeah.
Were they cool with you running like a side label?
It just made them look 10 times cooler than they were.
Oh, okay.
But and then we sort of had this thing was like, okay, we're both unemployed. Yeah. And like things were kind of going well for the label and building up pretty fast. So we're like, okay, do we try and get jobs at major labels, or should we
try to do our own thing.
Try and do our own thing. So yeah.
Was that did that motivate you when you quit your jobs? Like, were you motivated to make it work for Punk Slime just because you didn't want to have to get a proper job?
Yeah, partly.
In part, and then also it was going like we'd been doing it as like a side project, like having like full-time work, doing other stuff, and it was still going really, really well.
And we had no distribution or anything in place at that time as well. So it was like, okay, if we actually did put 100% into this, maybe we could almost pay rent.
Right.
Yeah. This was 2015. I think. Yeah.
So that was kind of like the rebirth or whatever, or when we that was when we fully went like head first into it.
What do you attribute the success to? Have you thought about that back then? What was it, do you think?
Really good bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like having really good bands, and I think we came through at like a good time as well. Just like press-wise, we were able to get a lot of like attention in international press really quickly, despite not having distribution, like not having no lead times, no nothing, just sort of making up as we went. And that also eventually like sort of blew back into Sweden, where people after a while were a bit like, okay, so why are these guys getting like attention from Pitchfork and Stereogum? And we've never like opened an email from them.
Wow.
And then, that sort of kept rolling.
Let's talk about the music. I was poring over as much as I could today. It takes a day and a half to dive into everything you have. I've loved that High Sun record. You know that. Magic Potion are incredible. Probably my favorite. I just started listening to Hater, and I have to dig more into that. They all sound different in their own way, but to me, there is a connecting thread. What do you look for in a band?
In all honesty, it's just if both of us absolutely love it, then we'll go for it.
Sure.
And I guess our tastes aren't 100% in line with each other all the time.
No, I think we like a lot of different stuff, but then there's also a lot of stuff we do agree on. And I guess
you have to agree on something to sign it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been a lot of times where one of us have been really excited about something, and then you can sort of tell when the other one isn't. Like, oh yeah, this is cool. Yeah. And then there's sort of
usually me.
Those all like end up with it's cool, and then we never move forward.
It's a lot. Every record we do, even if it's like just an EP or whatever, it's. Everything we do, it takes a lot of time, and essentially we don't make money really, but it's like it's a commitment, everything we do. And if one of us is not 100% sold on it before we started, then it's not gonna work.
So where are you finding these bands? Is it you're going to see them live? Are they emailing you? Do you do a deep dive on Bandcamp?
It's a bit of a mix, really.
At the start, I think it was sort of like, it's been sort of growing naturally. Because at the start, it was bands you already knew from the UK, Luke.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, there was like Swedish bands who sort of got in touch through each other. And then, as we got a lot of like press, then sort of bands sort of started emailing a bit more, like bands with no connection to us already. But it's a mix. Like some bands are just like blind emails that we've listened to, like this is amazing. A lot of bands are like related to a band we've already got, or is friends with someone, or and so some bands are just bands where you like seen live or like booked as a support band and been blown away by.
I think there's been a couple that we found like just randomly on. I think Angelic Milk.
That was a Bandcamp find.
Yeah, that was
cool.
just. Actually, no, I think it was Instagram.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's really cool. It's fun to have those different, like a variety of ways to discover music.
Yeah. And I mean, we do get a lot of emails now.
Yeah,
from
I
bands,
imagine.
But it's tricky because like we used to have this sort of like unwritten policy where we would definitely listen to everything we got.
It's just,
But nowadays that's just
impossible.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still have to sift through it, right? Because there could be something really special in there.
I mean, we read all the emails
Yeah.
for sure. It's just we don't have time. Like there's literally not time in the day to listen to everything. So you sort of, I mean, we listen to a lot of it. But
That's
not all
funny.
of it.
And then the really bad ones will take screenshots of it and send to each other. Like,
I mean, especially in Sweden. Like I guess like we're kind of like a big independent label here now.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of independent labels in general, so it's not. We're not big, really.
big fish, small pond.
But we've got a couple of big, we got a couple of big bands at least, and that when they sort of get national press, like the days after, we just get swamped with emails from bands who's obviously never heard anything on the label.
Yes.
It's a lot of weird stuff.
There's something I really appreciate about labels with huge catalogs because it's fun to dig through everything in one place, like a record store almost. That's how I found today, just going again through your site. Are you conscious about how your roster is perceived by fans as a whole? Do you try to keep things consistent or connected in any way?
I mean, we don't put too much thought into it, to be honest. I mean, there's definitely a few things we release when we've been like, are people going to think we're gone crazy with this? But I mean, generally everything we've done, I think, has always had a good reception, and I think that's one of the benefits. I think that's probably why a few bands like want to sign with us, because they know we have sort of trusted taste or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's people that will probably listen to something that we put out that maybe they necessarily wouldn't listen to.
I mean, I think that's like a big advantage for us, that we do have like a lot of followers as the label, like where people will, like if we sign a new band where like it's done nothing, like there's still going to be a lot of people checking them out because they're on the label, which is great. And I mean, we're obviously aware sort of what tends to go better, like among, I guess, like the core fans. But then it's not like we try to sign bands that we think are going to do well with the people who's already listening to us. We just hope they will think the same as we do.
Right.
And I think by now, I mean, I guess it was different a couple of years ago like 5 years ago when we started off just doing like garage punk stuff. And then when we sort of drifted into like more indie pop, it was a bit like, oh, are people going to be freaked out by this? But I mean, everyone's sort of, I think by now people know that like, okay, you might get something a bit unexpected.
Yeah.
Your genres I normally associate with vinyl and cassettes and Bandcamp, but I'm curious what role streaming plays for you, and especially as it's one of your Spotify comes from you guys, is from a lot of labels like you, streaming is an afterthought. But do you have a strategy with streaming? Is that something that you put a lot of thought into?
I mean, we kind of have to a degree, but
I mean, I think it's definitely a big thing for us. Like it is like one of the key things towards like the label surviving. But then, I mean, strategy wise, like there's not that much we can do in a way.
I see.
Because I mean, there's not that many. Like if you look at Spotify, it's not like they've got a million playlists focused on like weird lo-fi garage stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
Then like we can't like, but obviously like overall, and with some of the bands, that's obviously a key thing. With other bands, like we sort of know, this won't get any playlists, and then sometimes the stuff we think will get really good playlist gets nothing, and then some weird lo-fi garage stuff gets massive.
There's no way of knowing really. Like, there's definitely been a few things, especially in the last year or two, when we've been like, okay, this is gonna go wild on the playlist.
Yeah,
and then just nothing.
That's interesting.
And then we'll get a random song, like a B-side from a release like 4 years ago, would suddenly get put on like a Mexican cycling playlist or something, and then suddenly you start getting thousands of followers.
Yeah,
I've seen acoustic versions of songs do better than the original versions of songs.
Yeah, I mean, Magic Potion's got some weird song. Like, it's not a weird song, but it's like a weird. I think it's a Brazilian video with like the lyrics translated. That's got more streams on YouTube than anything. They go on Spotify and they stream like very good, like, compared to most of our bands.
Yeah,
but that sort of just came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Still got no idea like how that happened.
Well, it's good that you have, you aren't treating it like an afterthought, that you do put a little bit of effort. Of course, it is like, it's a mystery to everyone how it works and how to be successful at it. But I just kind of generally assume, some of these DIY labels and punk labels to be more focused on merchandise and 7 inches and some of the more tangible elements. But that's cool to hear.
I think we're sort of split between the two. At the start, it was definitely like what you described. Like the first couple of years, like we didn't pay any attention to any of that. So like sometimes we didn't even put a single on like Spotify. We just put it on SoundCloud, like in the really early days. But then, as we sort of noticed that there were a lot of people listening to us, that we sort of put more effort into it.
Yeah, I remember actually the first few releases I didn't want to put on Spotify. I wanted it to be like vinyl only.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then and I had to convince me like, no, this is like the worst idea you've ever had. Thankfully.
We had that fight in like 2014, I think.
Yeah. I actually remember I have this like, I should dig out the email, but we got an email back in 2011. We had this electronic artist on our label, and we got an email from Spotify, and this was before Spotify was in Canada, and I'm pretty sure it's even before Spotify was in America. I'm not sure when they came to America, but in 2011, we got an email from Spotify saying that they wanted to put this one song on one of their playlists, and I was like, whatever. I totally disregarded it. I hadn't even really heard of Spotify. I'd kind of vaguely heard of them, but it was like, to me, it was one of those, like, one of the many, many streaming platforms after Napster. And so I was just kind of like, whatever. And it's just funny to me now. And it probably did pretty well. Like, it probably got more streams than had it not. But it's just funny now. Like, I would die to get an email from Spotify asking to be put on a playlist. 10 years later. That's funny. There are so many things that a label can do when it comes to, like, we've even talked about part of your history of like live shows and parties, and then you have streaming and vinyl and cassettes and stuff. I'm curious, over these past 6 or 7 years of doing so much, is there one or two things that you have found to work the best for you financially, but not just financially, just pushing your label forward in general? Has there been something that has consistently done well for you guys?
I mean, and we learned it the hard way, but just be organized. Give yourself like the proper lead times. Because we were really bad at that before we signed to Red Eye for distribution. We were kind of just, it'd be a free for all, just release stuff like a week or two after we received it, and it was just.
I mean, we even we put the release dates before we were able to order the vinyl and just.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Like at the start, we had no money for the vinyl. It was basically like we never told anyone, but it was like an unofficial Kickstarter campaign. Or just announce the record. We'll do like deluxe packages with T-shirts, so you could charge like 40, 50 euros for it.
Yeah.
And just give a very vague release date, and then just pray you'd sell 50 deluxe packages. But then, that worked well until it didn't.
Well, I mean, that was sort of at the time where we weren't like pitching like long lead magazines or anything either. So you could sort of, it didn't matter what the exact release date was. You could just say, I expected to ship out like whatever. But then when we started, this like an actual album campaign, like 3 singles, like pitched for review 3 months ahead, so we had to have a release date. and then that didn't work anymore.
Right.
And that was a really good thing about signing with Red Eye for distribution, because they're obviously really strict about.
I mean, they're a big company where they sort of taught us that we had to focus on it, and it's great for us as well, because we get you get someone else saying you should do it this way, and then.
Yeah. What do they require from you now? What is their lead times now?
I mean, the bare minimum is 3 months, right?
Wow.
I mean, yeah. I mean, our bare lead time is 3 months, as we need to have the vinyl with them in like a certain date ahead of the release date.
Right.
So it's like a 3-month campaign, like 3 months minimum. Now, I mean, we often work like 4 to 6 months now, or even longer sometimes, which like a couple of years ago would have seemed insane.
Right.
But
so 4 to 6 months to have the record in hand from the band, like the masters, you mean?
Yeah, masters, artwork, and like all that stuff.
Wow.
And that, I mean, that's for a physical release, obviously. But yeah, that's the main takeaway, like, that actually works. Like, if you got enough time to do a good job, you'll have a much easier time doing a good job.
Yeah, no, I found that too. And anytime that I've had a really generous lead time, like you said, 3 or 4 months with the album completely done, like the press package, everything, I feel like so many more opportunities came my way. So many more great things happened for the record. And at the same time, I just felt much less stressed.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of it, is that you're not like massively stressed all the way through the campaign.
Yeah.
So like you can actually have ideas about stuff instead of just like trying to chase what you should have done like 4 weeks ago.
There's such a professionalism too, I think, when it just makes you look more impressive than when you're emailing a blog and saying, I have a record coming out this Friday, you know?
Yeah.
No.
Do you guys have a mission statement, or, you know, we're talking about organization, but from a bigger, more philosophical level, do you have a mission statement or some sort of North Star that you two work off of, or that helps kind of guide you and tells you what to say no to and what to say yes to? Maybe that's a bad question for a punk label.
I mean, not officially.
Yeah, we've never thought about it today, actually. Or until 30 seconds before this call. We were both thrown off when I saw the message. I was like, damn.
Well, that's okay. You can get back to
me. We need to think of a mission statement now. But no, I mean, in general, I mean, there's no way to answer that without sounding cliche, but just got to be like true to yourselves.
Sure, yeah.
Believe in what you're working with, and I mean, I don't really know the recipe for whatever small level of success we've had, but
well, there must be something to the fact that there must be something to you guys and to label owners in general, because when I ask, a lot of label owners say that they don't have a consistent aesthetic or a consistent sound, but I hear it, and when I ask a lot of people what their A&R strategy is, you know, most people don't have an official A&R strategy. I think there is just something about it's both of you guys, it's your taste, it's what you like and what you think is great, and it just so happens that the fans who follow you agree with you and are similar to you.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much on point.
I think it's maybe more of a subconscious thing as well.
Yeah, right.
And I mean,
go on.
No, I think that's like the cool thing about like indie labels in general, or like the smaller labels, is that you can actually like it doesn't have to sound the same. Like there's no like corporate strategy saying you're supposed to do this and this.
Yeah.
But like you can still tell like there's something leading you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What's the partnership like? Is there, you know, what's it like having two leaders? Do you guys divide the roles?
I mean, some stuff.
As much as possible, but it definitely bleeds over.
Yeah,
into each other, and we don't really have set. I mean,
we don't have titles or like anything like that.
I'm the CEO.
No, you know. No one, no. Actually, no one's the CEO. We don't have a CEO.
What do you mean? But no, I mean, it's, even though we sort of operate on a higher level than we used to, it's a lot more DIY than I think a lot of people realize. And I mean, we do a lot of stuff that you wouldn't expect. I mean, one, I guess you used to focus more on the PR side of things generally.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we both sort of do everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess, like disorganized organization. I don't know. Like, I mean, a lot of it.
Organized chaos.
Yeah. Or,
yeah.
No, not that organized, but slightly. But I think like one of the key things is like I don't think either of us could do this alone.
Oh, that's great.
So,
and I mean, it's like a constant stream of messages going back and forth about everything.
Do you guys live near each other?
Yeah.
We're both in the same city. And
do you work together like in the same office?
Normally, yeah.
Normally.
Not now, obviously, for obvious reasons. But we got an office like 10 to 15 minutes from both of us.
Yeah, that's quite a big thing to actually have a place of work.
Over for sure. Over the past 6 years, and especially in the past just 6 weeks, there's been a lot of change in the music industry. Things are always in flux, and like we're talking about streaming, and that's blown up since its early days in your country, and then of course now with COVID and the lockdown and the shutdown. Are you still motivated? Are you still excited to be running a label? Are you excited about the future of the label?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to know like the full repercussions of all this for probably some time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, at first we were both freaking out when this.
I mean, first week was like, oh, everything's going to hell. Like, we're gonna be bankrupt in 2 days. Like,
we were looking through our bank statements, like, oh hell. And I mean, I guess for us it's tricky because we're definitely not at the level where we just have like one main source of income. Like, we get money from like so many like satellite things that we do, and like we put on shows and the parties, and just all these little income sources coming in, Spotify, vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, we're at least like, it's been going like long enough that we're in a position at least where we've got a catalog that's like bringing in money, and we've got fans. So I mean, if you were just starting out when this happened, like, it would probably be even scarier than it is now.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But at least like we got a bit of like sense of security, and like people do have a lot of like this. We've had a lot of support over the past 2 months. Which
especially like this Bandcamp day thing they've been doing.
I was going to ask you, how was that?
I mean, we probably make in like a month in one day.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the last one, it was crazy. Like, we were looking at the numbers like at lunchtime, like, do you think we could hit this today? And then,
oh my god,
by the end of the day, we were like triple that. And
what did they do? Was it like 3 million, 4 million or something in sales or something?
I think it was like 4 million the first time and 7 the next time or something. Yeah. It was like
that is insane
amount
for one day. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, especially where everyone's saying like no one wants to buy music anymore.
Yeah,
like that's pretty mad.
That's crazy.
Like, that's happening in like one day.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean to think too, like that's them giving up like $600,000 or $700,000. For one day.
I mean, for them, it's genius PR. Like,
it is, yeah.
I had family members that I didn't think had ever heard of Bandcamp, and they were sharing it on Facebook, like, buy my like nephew's record on Bandcamp, because the horrible man's not taking a fee. Like, no one knows what the fee is. Like,
yeah.
And like the PR value from their
that's true. Yeah,
definitely outweighs.
That's true. Yeah. No, that's incredible. It's great to hear that it was good for you guys. And man, it's really going to trounce on Record Store Day. It's just such an easier thing than,
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially for them to support, for fans to come and support your existing catalog. That's what's so great about the day. Now, a lot of people are starting to make music for these days and special releases for these days. But in the first two, it was awesome to have fans just come and buy stuff from your back catalog.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that was the majority of our sales. It was like the records we probably wouldn't have expected would be selling a lot of.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no one's bought this record in 6 months, and now we just sold 10. Like, it's
that's awesome.
It's a big deal for us, especially as. I mean, yeah, we went a bit over optimistic maybe when we first signed to Red Eye and had worldwide distribution.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, we're going to be in every record store ever. We should start pressing like 1,000, 2,000 vinyl. So yeah, we sat on quite a lot of catalogue.
That worked great for 2 releases, and then we had a bit of extra vinyl lying around.
Yeah.
And CDs, man. That's your fault, Jan. 100%.
It's not my fault.
What are CDs like in Europe? Because I know there's still some countries that still buy a lot of CDs.
I think they are still big in like continental Europe. I guess in the UK as well. Like you could sell quite a lot of CDs. In Sweden, like I mean, overall, like the kind of stuff we don't sell CDs except like if the band's touring in like Germany or whatever.
Okay.
In Sweden, we don't. I mean, in general, we don't sell CDs.
Yeah.
That's honest truth. But we did try.
We made the mistake when we signed to Red Eye. We're like, we can sell thousands of CDs. That's so cheap. Let's do it. And then of course,
it's the same price to make 1,000 as 500. So obviously, to make 1,000, but if you sell 150, didn't really help.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants some CDs, send us a message.
It's hard to throw out CDs, but there's lots of people throwing out boxes of CDs.
Exactly.
Guys, it's been so great to talk with you. I'm such a fan of your label. It was a pleasure to go through the your playlist today on Spotify and be reminded of all the great stuff you've done, and please keep doing it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And thank you for listening. Their website is PNKSLM.com, and their Bandcamp is PNKSLM.bandcamp.com. So make sure you check them out. After you've done that, visit our website, otherrecordlabels.com. And thanks for being a listener.